So every single time we get patch notes with new essences, I make this type of video where I rank the top 3 classes that I think are the best based off the new essences that are coming to the game. And this update will be no different. I'm doing that in this video right now for you. But first, I do want to let you guys know that tonight at 9:30 Eastern time, I will be doing a class auction where any subs on Twitch or members on YouTube, and that does include the free Prime subs you can do or any gifted subs, will vote to see what my new class is. And I will be on that class all the way until whenever the new class comes out. Now, I know when that is. You don't know, but you will know soon enough. But I will tell you that it's going to make me be on this class for a while. So let's jump straight into these. And then again, I hope to see you guys on my Twitch and or YouTube live stream later on tonight for that class auction. Should be a lot of fun. The first hour of the stream will be for the auction. And then after that, we'll actually class change and work on builds and get started. But yeah, let's jump straight into it. So again, we're ranking the top 3 most exciting classes, or the top 3 classes that I think will be meta going into the next season. And I'll sort of clarify where I think that'll be going on, whether that be PvP, PvE, or in other things. Now, I do have to put the readers on because I'm an old man. But whatever, we're not talking about that. All right, so Barbarian, Helm, Wrath of Berserker also increases your attack speed by 10%. Okay, Chest, Whirlwind now makes you immune to knockback. Okay, Slow, Chill, and immobilizing effects while it remains channeled. Okay, interesting. Leap now applies a bleed to all nearby enemies when you land. Okay, so now we're definitely seeing a bit of a leap into a whirlwind. So you can apply a bleed and then be immune to any knockbacks and most effects. And then Pants, Leap also reduces enemy movement speed. Okay, so this is also good. And prevents them from using dash skills for 3 seconds, which is going to be a hard counter for, well, monks and tempi. So again, you're going to leap, whirlwind around, and make them bleed, and then be immune to stuff and slow them down. Main hand whirlwind now restores energy, increases your attack speed after hitting an enemy suffering from a bleed. Now, I will need this question answered though. So Barbarians in the chat or in the comment section of this video, does attack speed feed into damage for whirlwind or not? Because if it doesn't, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, if it does, then this could be a really good build just as is. Now, sometimes they give us essences and they're not intended to be the same build, but this sort of reads as if that's what they're going for. But I don't know how attack speed affects whirlwind. So if somebody can let me know in the comments, I'll pin it to the top. So offhand, Wrath of Berserker now throws you into a bloody rage, increasing the damage you deal to bleeding enemies while also granting you increased movement speed for each bleeding enemy nearby. Okay, so that Wrath of Berserker is going to be sick, especially if we get clarification on that part for the attack speed. Seems like a pretty straightforward build. Some anti-CC, some bleeds, and then some just consistent damage, which is pretty sick. All right, so there's that one. That's the first one, so we don't get a rank yet because it's the first one. Now, Blood Knight. I'm a big fan of the Blood Knight, but it is a class that just kind of gets L's. Like, it has cool essences, but it does no damage. So let's see what we have here. The Helm, Whirling Strike also increases your damage done by 3% for 2 seconds for each enemy hit, stacking up to a maximum of 15%. Okay, so AoE damage. Shroud of Night now empowers you for a short while, causing you to conjure a shadowy apparition to attack nearby enemies when you take damage. When you take damage sucks, though. I'm not gonna lie, like, I really hate that. All right, Shoulders. Abomination no longer consumes anger and instead continually consumes your life in order to damage and slow nearby enemies, but you also heal yourself for the damage you deal. Interesting. So it's like a lifesteal mechanic where you're going to be losing health, and essentially after you're done with Abomination, you die unless you just keep in it. I'm assuming you can toggle it off, but not clear. Pants. Abomination gains an additional skill, Crimson Claw. Crimson Claw unleashes an Abomination Claw in a targeted direction that damages all enemies within its path and pulls them back to you. Interesting. Enemies hit by Crimson Claw are unable to use dash skills for a short time. Man, they're like just effing the Tempest. All right, so main hand. Whirling Strike now causes you to counterattack, damaging all nearby enemies when you take damage. Additionally, you heal yourself for a portion of the damage done. Now, that feels really good for PvP. And then while Abomination is active, you no longer remain near you. The longer you remain near an enemy, the more damage you deal to them, up to a maximum damage of increase of 20%. So really good against tanks. So it's like an anti-tank offhand where as you just keep pounding on an Abomination, then you will be doing more damage. And then Abomination is also going to pull people in, which is good, and stop them from using dashes. So basically, if you jump on somebody in Abomination, they can't escape you easily, and you will do more and more damage to them, which is pretty good, not gonna lie. All right. I mean, of the two, I think Barbarian is better than Blood Knight, but Blood Knight interests me. And when I say better, I mean in PvP. I should clarify that. So far with these new essences, Crusader. So the Helm, Fist of the Heavens, now causes your primary attacks to emit lightning damage nearby, damaging nearby enemies. So it doesn't say shock though. So that was going to be something that excited me though. Like if it played into the new set gear and actually added shock, but it doesn't. All right. At least not based off this description. Chest, shield charge also increases your primary attack speed by 20% for 3 seconds up to a maximum of 10 attacks. Okay. Shoulders, falling sword also shatters enemy armor, increasing the damage they take by 4% for 2 seconds, stacking up to a maximum of 16%. Okay, that could be good depending on if we get another one for falling sword. Shield charge now rushes a target enemy, blocking back all other surrounding enemies and challenging your target to a duel. During the duel, you take reduced damage from other enemies you are not dueling, and participants can only use primary attacks, but they are also immune to loss of control and knockback effects. Slaying your foe during the duel increases your damage done for a short while. This might seem A, very wordy, but B, it's really good. In most games, when you have this mechanic of like declaring a one-on-one, you would do it on somebody who doesn't do a lot of damage. So essentially you challenge someone. In this situation, you would target someone who is a tank, and then you would not attack them. Instead, you would attack other people because you're taking reduced damage from them. Is typically how that sort of logic plays out, unless you just need to straight up 1v1 someone and body them. But this is a pretty interesting essence. So I like this a lot from a fun aspect as well as a PvP and just overall strategy. I think this makes a lot of sense and is pretty exciting. Main hand, falling sword now empowers you with a heavy sword for a short time, replacing your primary attacks with one that does large sweeping strikes, stacking holy flames upon enemies that deals additional damage. Okay, so again, going back to falling sword, it shatters enemy armor, and now it's making your primary attack shatter enemy armor. That is savage. All right, so punish also, oh daddy, punish also causes enemies to deal 50% reduced damage for 1 second. Punish is a primary attack, so in theory you're just reducing the damage they deal, but then you're also putting holy flame on them and then making it so they take more damage. So this is very much a primary attack build, and then you're also, one of these got attack speed. Yeah, shield charge increases your primary attack speed by 20% for 3 seconds up to a maximum. Okay, I mean, interesting. I think Crusader is probably higher now, so I would go Crusader, Barb, Blood Knight so far of the 3 that we've done. Demon Hunter, which could use some boofs if I'm being honest. When knockback shot knocks back an enemy, your damage done is increased by 5% for 3 seconds, stacking up to a maximum of 15%. Okay. Knockback shot now fires multiple piercing blasts in a targeted direction, damaging and knocking back enemies. Okay. Shoulders, escape now dashes to a target location, damaging and knocking back enemies within your path. Enemies hit also have their armor shattered, increasing the damage you deal to them. It does say you deal and not just damage dealt to them, so it's just you. But again, doing a lot of dashes feels pretty good right now. You got a dashy boy on our hands. Pants, escape can now be used while suffering from total loss of control effects, and knockback effects make you immune to their effects for 0.5 seconds. Again, really good. We made escape good again. All right, main hand. Impale now throws a fan of knives around you, embedding them into the flesh of nearby enemies. When an enemy is knocked back, the embedded knives will dislodge, sending them in random directions. Wow. Impale's damage is increased by 8% for each time it strikes the same enemy, up to a maximum of 24%. Damn. All right, so this is really good for PvP. A lot of CC counter, a lot of knockback, and like crowd control, but then also a lot of single target burst damage with your impale. That sounds like it'd be very fun to play. So I'm actually going to put Demon Hunter, then Barb, and then Crusader. Demon Hunter, Crusader, Barb. Those are my top 3 so far. All right, so Monk. Oh, I hate the Monk. So Helm, Inner Sanctuary now places a calming field that slows enemies and causing your dash skills to trigger a harmonic resonance, dealing damage to enemies within the area. Ugh, okay. Chest, Flying Dragon now makes you immune to knockback effects and repeatedly charges forward, damaging enemies in your path. Okay. Shoulder, Breath of Heaven also reduces your damage taken by 10% for 3 seconds. Okay, I mean, it's, yeah. Breath of Heaven can now be used while suffering loss of control effect and grants you an absorb shield that also removes all harmful effects. Your dash skills also grant you an absorb shield that can stack. Jesus. Okay, so like at first this is like, yeah, okay, this is pretty solid. But put it with the pants and it's like, God damn, what are we doing out here? Okay, that's pretty sick. All right, main hand, deadly reach increases your primary attack speed by 8% for 1 second, stacking up to a maximum of 24%. Okay, I mean, so it's your primary attack. That's, yeah, okay. So when flying damage deals damage to 3 times, and this is an offhand, you explode with energy, dealing damage to nearby enemies, knocking them up. Cannot occur more often than once every 5 seconds on the same target. Okay. Oh, isn't there another one for flying? Okay, so flying dragon kick is down, just going to push you forward, but then also if you damage the same enemy 3 times, you make them pop up. Yeah, that's actually sounds pretty good for PvP specifically. I'm still going to go Demon Hunter, Crusader, Barb. All right, Necromancer. Helm. Bone Spikes now conjures a bed of spikes at a target location that continuously damages enemies within the area and prevents them from using dash skills. Okay. Enemies knocked back within the area will take additional damage and be stunned. Damn. So partner up with a Necro and a Demon Hunter. That's going to be crazy in PvP. Chest. Dark Curse also shatters enemy armor, increasing the damage they take by 10%. For 3 seconds. Okay, it cannot occur on the same target more often than once every 6 seconds. All right, so again, hopefully we'll see something else with Dark Curse. I already see one below, so we'll jump to that here in a second. So Shoulders, Bone Spikes cooldown is reduced by 0.2 seconds for each enemy hit, up to a maximum of 1.2 seconds. Okay. So if you drop this as sort of like a zone, and then as people go through it, or if you, assuming there's no delay, you can just put it at their feet, you can get some CDR back or cooldown reduction. All right, so Pants. Dark Curse now places a seal at a target location, dealing damage and slowing enemies within the area. After a short delay, the seal erupts, damaging and reducing the vision of nearby enemies within the area. Interesting. So this is very much a zoning build you could make with the Necro with all these essences. Again, that's sort of, I know it's not always intended that way, but that's sort of where my brain goes first. And then after I play the class, I'll figure out different builds based off old and new essences. But right now I'm looking at just sort of as is. All right, so main hand, when Bone Spirits damages the same target 3 times. Do we have anything with Bone Spirits yet? No. Within 2 seconds, it silences them, preventing them from use of skills for 2 seconds. Cannot silence the same enemy more often than once every 6 seconds. Okay, here's Bone Spirits again. Bone Spirits now conjures a fog filled with race to attack enemies at a target location. Race continuously rush through the fog, damaging and knocking back enemies hit. Ooh, and this is like a huge AoE PvP nightmare necro build is what I would call that, but it does sound pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so it does have its own knockback for what we talked about earlier. So you can knock back and stun people. Jesus, why is necro so good? Desire, I'm looking at you. If you're watching this video, I'm looking at you. Tempest. Helm. Cascade now slams your edges into the ground, damaging nearby enemies and causing geysers to erupt beneath their feet, knocking them up. Okay, shit. But is it like seeking? Like is it like a skill shot, or does it just hit them? That'd be my like question with this first one. Oh, by the way, Necro's number 1. So I would go Necro, Demon Hunter, Crusader. Necro, Demon Hunter, Crusader are my top 3 so far, in that order. So Tempest, Cascade's critical hits chance is increased by 20% against enemies below 50% life. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. So Cascade will now slam people up and pop them up, and then it will deal increased damage to enemies below 50% life. So a bit of a execute mechanic. Berserker also grants you a shield that absorbs damage and makes you immune to the next loss of control effect you would suffer. Okay. Breaker's good. Hopefully it still gives you a bit of a roll, because I really like Breaker. That gives you like a bit of a movement speed as well, like a movement as well. But it's not clarified there. So Pants, Breaker now conjures a Zephyr at your current location and then causes you to rush forward in a target direction, increasing your damage done. Using Breaker again, exiting the area or letting the effect expire returns you to the original location. So this is very much like a CC, like a getaway or a chase down mechanic. Really good in PvP, I think, for sure. All right, so Squall now causes you to spin with your edges, pulling in nearby enemies, damaging and marking them. After a few seconds, the marks erupt, dealing additional damage equal to the percent of damage you dealt to them while they were marked. Okay. Offhand, when edge damages an enemy below 50% life is rush cooled life. Its rush cooldown is reduced to 1.5 seconds. When edge damages an enemy below 50% life, its rush cooldown is reduced to 1.5 seconds. I mean, okay, that's it's the assassin, right? It's the Tempest assassin. It's the same style of jump in, do a lot of damage, kill things, get out, you know. It does it in a different way, which I think is fun, but I'm still going to stick to Necro, DH, and then Crusader as my top 3. Now Wizard. I did look at the Wizard already, and it seems like it's more ice themed, which is going to be interesting because we had like a full fire build last time, and we already had like an electrocute build previously. So Helm, Scorch now hurls multiple frigid spheres of ice at an enemy, and if they hit a frozen enemy, the spheres shatter, dealing additional damage to nearby enemies. Now, again, at first glance, is this going to be a skill shot where people can move out of it, or is it going to like lock onto them? That is my number one question, because that's going to, in my opinion, dictate how really good this is, even though I know what the next one is with Frostfield is also kind of busted. So Frostfield now conjures a blizzard that follows enemies, continuously damaging and chilling those caught within the storm. Enemies that remain within the storm for too long will become frozen. Now, again, this is a little crazy because just these 2 skills alone are going to be doing a shit ton of damage in PvP. Now, in addition to that, Scorch now increases your movement speed by 30% for 2 seconds after hitting an enemy. So this is, again, your shoulders and your helm are making so you can basically hunt people down and freeze them with your Frostfield and then like blow them up. So Pants, Frostfield range is now increased by 20%. So the Blizzard is now going to have a wider radius. Main hand, Arcane Wind now unleashes an icy cyclone in a target direction that explodes on contact with an enemy or upon reaching its final destination. This icy explosion damages and chills nearby enemies, freezing those that were already chilled. All right, so again, this is an Arcane Wind, so you can use the offhand that gives you an additional Arcane Wind use. And then Electrocute also causes chilled enemies to explode, dealing damage to nearby enemies and chilling them for 3 seconds. Can only trigger once every second on the same target. All right, so this sounds like a super good like freeze build for the Wizard. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put, I mean, I'm obviously hella biased, but I'm going to go Necro as the most fun, then Wizard, and then Demon Hunter. Is based off these essences, I think are the top 3 for specifically like PvP. I think I can see them being the most fun. But again, let me know what you guys think. And if you want to have a hand in which of these classes I get to use until the new class comes out, make sure you drop by my stream later today, 9:30 Eastern time on both YouTube and Twitch, where I will be doing a class auction for the first hour of the stream. And then I will actually be changing classes right after that because, well, tomorrow we get the update, so I want to be on the new class so I can start farming the essences. So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. I did ask for a couple clarifications as to things specifically on the Barbarian, so if you know that, put it in the comments and I'll pin it so everyone else can see it. But again, I hope to see you guys in the live stream again, 9:30 Eastern time, both Twitch and YouTube. Links to both, well, you're on my YouTube, but links to Twitch is in the description. Hope to see you guys there and hope to see you guys in a video soon. See you later, bye.